morning and welcome to another Saturday of football. And today the main theme is which teams will get upset today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is those teams that are in danger of getting upset. College football rivalry week. That's what happens. We get some upsets, and I feel there's some teams definitely that are not going to cover, and they will be upset today for sure. If you guys didn't see the game last night, Georgia Tech and Georgia went all the way to eight overtimes, and that would have been an easy bet for sure. I think Georgia was favored by 20 points or something, and there was no way that game was going to be that wide open. And I think that's going to be the case today also. So we have 12 games that we're going to cover today. I always talk about my top five, the teams that I think are playing the best, and those are the same teams I feel today that are the safest from not getting an upset. The first one is Oregon. I think they're the top team, the only team actually that I think has been playing consistently. We have too many teams that are just being super inconsistent, but Oregon has been consistent. Then I have Ohio State also playing very well lately. They have Michigan today. Uh, I feel that Miami, even though they've been up and down, I think because of their quarterback play, they're still a strong team there. And then my other pick is gonna be surprising, but I think even though they lost in overtime, Texas A&M is really looking strong lately, and the way they're playing, and I wouldn't want to play them for sure. And my last pick is also a surprising one. I think SMU is a great team, and I think that they're gonna continue surprising a bunch of people. So there you have it. Those are the teams that I like so far. And here we have Boris and we have Matthew, and I put the link there. Maybe the college football enthusiasts will join us later. Last week, so who won last week? Well, last week both Lucas and I, we got 8 out of 10 correctly, but we took second place. The person who took first place, actually for the first time, the lady beat all the men here. Steph got 9 out of 10 correctly and beat everybody in their picks. So we'll see if she comes in today and see how what her picks are. But she was the winner for sure. Let's see. Somebody says hello from the Joe Jones. Hello, Joe Jones. Happy holidays to you. What's your team there, Joe Jones? Let us know. Who are you rooting for, and who you think will be, an upset today? Yeah, congratulations to Steph. I know. Well, it's just in Indiana. They really their resume was I think 150 or 120 something in terms of strength of schedule, and then they just I mean they didn't look as good as they should have against Ohio State. They're still a good team, but yeah, that's they that was their time to shine. To show that they can beat anybody. Those people in the community, they have a tough job. It's hard sometimes to pick a team. Sometimes you have teams that beat other teams, but then the rest of the resume or the games are not as good. Case in point, Alabama beat Georgia, but still they have Georgia in front, even though Georgia has some terrible games. They could only score 13 points against Kentucky. um, they didn't look that good against the Gators. They should have lost last night, but they're still ahead of a team that beat them. So it is tough. It is tough for sure. I know I didn't rank. I agree with you, Matthew. I don't have Penn State ranked that high. I just give you my top five, and they're not there. So I think the teams are very very vulnerable. This year. Anybody can beat anybody. The only team that has kind of stayed their course and show that they are good both in offense and defense is Oregon. So everybody else, I don't think we have a dominant team at all. Anybody that gets into that playoff can win. pretty much. So this will be the year for a surprise team. Um, let's see, Ohio State. Their second is better than. Oh, let's see, it's 50 something. Yeah, I mean teams with a big strength of schedule are like the Gators, and as you can see, that cost them a bunch of loss and their quarterback to get hurt, the second quarterback to be, limping, and they had to go to the third string. So it's tough to play, a real tough schedule, and you may not come out really good. Ducks all the way. There you go, Joe. Joe, all right. Hey, you got a good team there for sure. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Wait, what happened? So, Steph, you won last week. You beat all the man. You got 9 out of 10 correctly. The closest was me and Lucas with 8 out of 10, but you beat everybody. You picked correctly. So let's see if you can do it again. But you surprised everybody and you kicked our butts and in your pick. So everybody was congratulating you for that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. I'm gonna talk about uh, three upsets. If until my colleague gets here. Oh, there he is. All right, here we go. Hey, are you ready to rumble?
Yes, I am.
So we're gonna get started right away with upsets. We can go back and forth. I'll start with one, and then you can go with another one. My biggest upset today, and you guys can take this to the back, will be the Texas A&M game. I believe that Texas A&M will beat Texas. They're playing at Texas A&M. Texas A&M really is playing better than Texas. And if you see at the opponents that Texas have played, they really have not played a lot of opponents with a strong offense. And when they play somebody, which was Georgia, they lost. So that's my pick for the biggest upset of today. It's going to be Texas A&M number 20 beating Texas. So I'm actually going to put that already down here. Hamu. All right, go ahead. What's your biggest upset of today? Who do you think is gonna win and surprise everybody?
Man, I have a couple of mine, but hmm, I think the Texas one also is they're in the most danger, but hmm, I think that I may be wrong, but I think that USC is gonna beat Notre Dame
Okay, that's your pick. USC.
because
Okay.
I saw a stat that there's only five or six teams that have at least that every game this year in the season they have had the lead at least once in the fourth quarter, and USC is one of those teams, and they're 6-5, so they're not a bad team. They just have had bad luck.
All right. Well, good, good. That's your pick. Well, I'm gonna go with my second pick, and my second pick. Let's see. I had it right here. It is South Carolina. I think they're gonna upset Clemson, even though they're not the home team. I think they're playing better than Clemson. And Clemson, this is their chance to make it. And I think South Carolina is going to completely spoil their chances to make it into the playoffs. So that's my second pick, South Carolina beating Clemson. All right. You have another one?
Well, I mean, I'm not doing it like a ranking of which one I think like the one I say. It's not that I think that one's more gonna be more likely an upset than the Texas one or the South Carolina one, because I think those are more likely. But just to give another option, a very underrated one. Miami needs to watch out for Syracuse. Syracuse is not a bad team, and they're at Syracuse, and Syracuse is 8-3. They have one of the I think the quarterback leads the nation in pass yards, and Miami's favored by 11. I don't. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. So
Good pick. Good pick. And if they lose, that opens the door for Clemson. Obviously, Clemson would have to win. All
yeah,
right. Well, let's start. Let's get started here. We'll start with the two games that I mentioned so that we can go ahead and kind of get those done. So Texas versus Texas A&M. I already guys told you that I feel Texas A&M is going to upset them. Texas is the favorite. I think it was 4.5 points here last time I checked. Yeah, 4.5 points, and they're playing at Texas A&M. So give me your picks, guys. Who do you think is going to win that game? And let's start with you, Lucas. Who do you think is going to win that game?
I don't know. I don't know. Like that's a really tough one. I mean, if you look at the spread, it is at Texas minus 4.5, and they're at Texas A&M. Um, Texas is in danger, but I don't know. I think something about A&M doesn't have me convinced that they're gonna win this game. So I'm just gonna pick Texas because Texas, to be honest, they're number 3, but they've not looked like the number 3 team. So this is the game to prove it. And I think they still have something like another gear, like that they another level to level up to. And I think who knows, they may do it this Saturday. So
All right. So let's. I see that Steph speak Texas A&M. She's dangerous. She won last week, and we got Boris also picking. Well, Boris is picking Texas, just like you, and Matthew's picking Texas. And let's see, Joe, you want to make a pick there, Joe and Kidder 96. Hello, my friend. Um, Yeah, perfect on college game day coming up in a few hours. Kidder 96, tell us your team, who you're rooting for, and you're welcome to make some picks here along with us here for sure. All right. So if either of you want to get here on the fun, just tell me your picks and I'll write them down for next week. So we got 3 people picking Texas, and then Steph and I are picking Texas A&M. All right, so let's go to the second one that I said it was going to be an upset, which is the South Carolina and Clemson. Um, who do you like on this game here?
so I think I like South Carolina. As you see, Clemson is favored by minus 3.5. It went up 0.5 than it was yesterday, if that means anything. But South Carolina, they're 8-3, but they've been a surging team. I just to get this correctly, I'm pulling it up here.
Yeah,
Since they lost to Alabama, they have won 5 in a row. They destroyed Oklahoma, destroyed Texas A&M when they were number 10, destroyed Vanderbilt, beat Missouri, destroyed Wofford, obviously. So they're a surging team. There's some teams that, of course, they deserve to be ranked ahead of them, but that doesn't matter because it matters about getting hot late in the season. And South Carolina, even though they're on the road, they have a very dangerous team. And Clemson, you look at Clemson and they have they don't have enough meat on their schedule. The 2 teams that I think are the best teams they've played, they lost to Georgia 34-3, and then they got smacked by Louisville at home. So I want, you know, I I personally was probably going to root for Clemson, but I think South Carolina is going to win. They have the deeper team, and they've been dominating SEC teams, and the SEC is probably one of the stronger conferences. So I'm going to pick South Carolina.
good pick, good pick. And that's going to be tough because they're not going to be at home, but that's a good pick. Steph is going with you. She's got South Carolina. Boris also picked South Carolina. And let's see, Matthew told us who he liked. Um, Nobody's picking Clemson. No respect for Clemson.
Yeah, I mean they're
they
number 12, but
they're gonna be motivated because of course this is their chance to make it into the playoffs after a rough start. There you go. Matthew picked Clemson. All right, Matthew. Good job. All right. Let's go now. We can go now in order. Uh, we can do Michigan versus Ohio State. Is Ohio State in danger of losing here at the end and messing up their season? What do you think?
everyone's been predicting Ohio State to completely smack Michigan because like Ohio State's 10-1, Michigan 6-5. Ohio State has been bested by Michigan the last 3 years in dominant fashion, and everyone's predicting an Ohio State blowout. And I'm not gonna predict how the game's gonna go. I think Ohio State's probably gonna win by a comfortable margin, but I'm not gonna predict that part because it's rivalry week. Like Georgia Tech literally took Georgia to the brink in 8 overtimes yesterday. So the best you can do in rivalry week is predict the game. You can't predict the outcomes. They're so random. So I'm gonna pick Ohio State to win, and they have the better team. And Michigan's one of the worst offenses in the nation. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll see how close it is, but
Yeah.
that's my pick.
Boris says Ohio State blowout. I'm also picking Ohio State now because it's rivalry. I don't know if they will be able to cover the 19.5 points they have them by. But if there's any game here on the schedule that I can say that can happen, this could be it.
Yeah.
I feel more confident about this game than any of the other ones. So, oh, here's Bill. Bill, how are you? You're welcome to make your picks if you like. Um, Steph and Matthew, let us know who you want in this game, Ohio State or Michigan. All right, I think the next one is Tennessee and Vanderbilt. How do you like that? I had
So
I had this one as until a few minutes ago. I had this one as a possible upset. But go ahead, tell me what you think.
so I think that Tennessee is in danger. I'm gonna say that you're gonna hear that like a million times from me that that the team is in danger because again, if this is your first year watching college football, like the games sometimes are already unpredictable because they're college kids, but in rivalry week, it's super unpredictable. Like there's so much tradition in the sport that people take these last games seriously, and Vanderbilt isn't a pushover like they have been. So I think Tennessee is in danger because like you I don't know, everyone has their rival, but I don't think Tennessee's really ever taken Vanderbilt seriously. And they're 8-2, 9-2 actually. And like they have a lot all they have to do is sit pretty and they make the playoffs. But Tennessee being Tennessee, I think that they're gonna just overthink it and not be prepared, and Vanderbilt's gonna scare them. I think it's actually gonna probably be a very close game. Part of me wants to pick the upset, but I'm not gonna go that far. I'm gonna say Tennessee's gonna win, but if they lose, I won't be surprised. That really suck for them, but I won't be surprised if they lose.
Yeah, they're a 10.5 point favorite. They are playing in Vanderbilt, and the over and under is pretty low. It's 47.5. So I'm picking Tennessee too, but like you said, I wouldn't be surprised. And this was one of my possible upsets of today. So it could be that close. So Boris says Tennessee. Steph says Tennessee. Um, and let's see. And yeah, the Gophers got the axe. The Minnesota had a great second half of the season. Let me tell you, they didn't start very good, but they sure finished strong, man. And
They almost beat Penn State last week.
yeah, the celebration of the axe was really, really funny. They had the coach, like, I don't know what that tradition is, but they had him like all host up, and he was like axing the ceiling or something. It was kind of crazy, but all right. Bill got Tennessee, and Steph got Tennessee. All right, and Matthew got everybody picked Tennessee on this one. Oh boy, that's dangerous when that happens. All
Yeah.
right, and I think the Gator game at 12. I
Yeah,
only
you're giving it a 7.
Okay, because I only have the top 25 here. So, all right. Well, let's go down to the first 3:30 game. Is Notre Dame and USC. You already said you think USC is going to win this one. Are you gonna stand by that one? That they're going to get the upset?
Yeah, because you think like you get on your phone or your app or whatever and just ESPN.com and you look at the schedule and you're like, okay, wow, all these ranked teams play unranked teams. They're just gonna win, and then the playoff committee is gonna it's gonna be easy for them. That's not how it works in rivalry week. I see all these teams ranked on the road. Like, that's not good. They're literally in danger. And USC, I think actually Notre Dame probably, but no, I already said USC. So USC is gonna win. That could really go either way. USC is a lot better than people think. But
All right, that's your upset. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame. I think normally I would have picked USC, but Notre Dame has been impressive to me in the way they were able to beat Navy and then Army, and they found ways to even deal with those crazy offensive schemes that those teams have. So that told me a lot. I thought they were gonna have a really hard time with those teams, and they didn't. So they're doing something right. I'm going to stick with Notre Dame, even though for you guys that don't know, they're playing at USC, and Notre Dame is only 7.5 favorite. So we got Matthew picking Notre Dame. We have Steph picking the Irish all the way, and Bill is going with Notre Dame. And Boris has not said yet, but I'm sure he's going to say in a little bit. So most people are going for Notre Dame, except for Lucas that's going. There you go. Boris says Notre Dame. Lucas is going for. They're out if they lose. Yeah, some of these teams. I mean, they can afford to lose. Other teams because they have a good name, a good brand, they can afford to lose, and they're still going to be put in the playoffs. But most of these teams they cannot afford to lose, especially right now, late in the season. So another 3:30 game is Miami and Syracuse. This was your other pick for a possible upset.
yep.
And I agree with you. I think Syracuse is a very dangerous team. Miami's playing all over the place. I did pick him as the top 5 teams that I have right now. Um, what happened there? You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Miami is they have one of the best quarterbacks, and I think that's what's gonna push them to be over, and they're gonna be dangerous if they get to the playoffs. So I'm sticking with Miami on this one, even though they're away and they're only favored to win by 11. Actually, that's pretty good. The over and under is 67.5 points, so that's the highest out of all the games that are the top 25 today. So they expect this to be a shootout, like a
Yeah.
crazy shootout game.
These are two really offensive teams and two teams that their defense is pretty bad and their offense is really good. So I said it's one of the most dangerous games, and I may be wrong on this. I mean, I think Syracuse has a great chance to win, but I think I'm gonna pick Miami, even though I mentioned that as an upset,
Okay.
like alert. But Miami, this is the first time that they're gonna get a chance at the playoffs, and I don't think they're gonna blow it. If they win this game, then they go to the ACC championship. If they lose this game, then Clemson goes instead of them.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
a big deal for them.
and they lose their chance. They're gonna hit themselves over the head to be 10-1 at this point and then not make it. So
Yeah.
um all right, so Steph is picking Syracuse. Good pick there, Steph. Matthew says Miami. Unfortunately, I guess he doesn't like Miami. Boris says Miami. And let's see, Bill might pick somebody pretty soon. All right, next game is a dangerous one because I really want SMU to make it, and they play California now. California has been all over the place, um, but SMU is been playing great. Again, I have them in my top 5 of teams playing great lately. I hope they win their SMU, and they're favored by 13.5. I'm going with SMU on this one. What do you like?
I'm going with SMU as well. You know, it's not really rivalry. They're not a rivalry, but Cal has been a very they've been a dangerous team for some other teams, but I think SMU's got this. Plus, Cal is. I'm trying to think where SMU is. I know that I think it's on like I don't know where SMU is geographically, but Cal still has to travel, and they have to go from California to wherever SMU is. So I think that already is a disadvantage for them. I
Oh,
think SMU is maybe in Texas, but I don't know. I trying to think of ways for Cal to win this game, but I don't. I feel pretty comfortable with SMU. I don't think it'll because we are in rivalry week. I don't think that SMU is going to cover, but I think SMU is going to win. Whether it's comfortable or not, it's yet to be determined.
all right. Well, Bill ended up picking Syracuse, so Bill and Steph are the only ones picking Syracuse and against the Miami game. Boris says overranked SMU wins. Steph got SMU. Bill has SMU, and Matthew got another game where everybody picked the same team. Well, they're supposed to win this game. I mean, I would be surprised if they don't. All right, now Matthew's gonna get nervous with this game because it's Auburn at Alabama. Alabama is favored to win by 10.5. They're in Alabama. The over-under is 52, so it's kind of low. If it's a low-scoring game, I don't think that's going to be good for Alabama. Dangerous. Auburn just came up winning an 4 overtime or 3 overtime game against
Yeah.
Texas A&M, so they are very motivated. Um, if it was in Auburn, I would pick Auburn to do this upset because they just have the momentum. But because they're in Alabama, I think Alabama is gonna find a way to win. They have to win if they want any chance of being in the playoffs. So my pick is Alabama versus beating Auburn. Who do you got?
So Alabama has been really one of the most bipolar teams ever. Like they really they look really good or like really bad, and there's like no in between. Like it's crazy. Like they just destroyed LSU and no Missouri and then LSU, and I thought, okay, they found their groove. Like they're gonna be in the playoffs. You know, they're gonna be in the SEC championship. They were gonna be in the SEC championship. All they had to do was beat Oklahoma, beat Auburn. They lose to Oklahoma, don't put up a single touchdown, and I don't know. Auburn needs this game. They're 5-6. They need it for bowl eligibility. Auburn's actually been a very good offensive team. The only reason they've lost is because they've committed way more turnovers than the other team, and then against A&M, they didn't. Turnovers were even, and they won the game. So I think I think I'm gonna pick I think I'm gonna pick Auburn. You know, they're not in Auburn, but I don't know. They need it more honestly. So well,
All
they
right.
both need it, but I'm gonna pick Auburn.
All right, you good pick there. Steph has Bama, Bill has Bama, and I'm sure Matthew's gonna pick Bama, but we'll wait to hear from his mouth here and Boris pick. But definitely a game to watch. I'm gonna be watching that game. I think it's gonna be fireworks. Very exciting. Boris says must win for Bama, but still they win. Okay, so you picking Bama, all right? That's what I gathered from that. All right. Another game that's going to be exciting is because every single game, these guys are super exciting. It's Arizona State versus Arizona. Now, Arizona State is playing away, but they're the favorite by 9.5 points. Super exciting team to watch. I can't go against them. I have Arizona State on that one. Who do you got, Lucas?
I have Arizona State too. They're surging right now, and Arizona's not looked good. Their start the year when people would beat Arizona, would be like, "Wow, that's a great win." But that lasted like 2 games, and you're like, "Okay, Arizona's kind of bad." So, Arizona State is definitely trending upward. I'm gonna pick them. But if you look at the Big 12 real quick, there's a bunch of weird scenarios for like who's it's still uncertain who's going to go to the game because right now Colorado won, so they're 7-2, so they lead the top. But there's so many random tiebreaker scenarios
Mm-hmm.
that like teams that you wouldn't think have a chance to make it to the Big 12 championship could make it. So right now is up there with 7-2, and then Arizona State 6-2, BYU 6-2, Iowa State 6-2. So
Yep, yep.
who's gonna be there?
It's
Yes.
anybody's game. And whoever looks better. I mean, the one that has the highest ranking, is gonna have a better chance. Obviously, if they win and if they win the 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 Big 12 for the playoff spot. But yeah, we're gonna cover another game that is important. Is anybody's game. So all those games are gonna be so exciting. All right,
Yeah.
everybody picked Arizona State for this one. I see Bill, Matthew, Boris, and Steph. Your, your phone is making some crazy noises. What the heck are you
Oh,
doing?
really? I
Yeah,
didn't. I was just adjusting my laptop. I didn't know it was making noises.
yeah, it's like you're tearing paper. All
Uh,
right, so let's go to another game here. This is gonna be, of course, a super important game. Oregon has been immaculate all season. They're playing at home, but they're playing Washington, and that's not gonna be no cakewalk. They're favored to win by 18 and a half. But what has me worried is that the over and under is only 50.5. I mean, they're thinking these teams are gonna score only 20 some points, only 3 touchdowns each. That's scary. I'm still gonna pick Oregon, but definitely a game that I will be worried about for sure. Who do you got?
I think Oregon's gonna win this one pretty. I don't think they're gonna be too worried. It is a rivalry, and those schools are two schools that don't like each other, and it's one of those rivalries. But Oregon finally has their bye week. They have time to rest and had time to rest, and they're at home. So I think Oregon's going to be just fine. But a way that they could lose this game or make it closer than it should be is they could be looking ahead. That happens a lot with some teams because they are for sure in the Big Ten championship. So
Hmm.
that's the only way I could see it as close, but I think Oregon's gonna win.
Yeah, and of course, bearing any injuries, we know that sometimes plays a big part when there's injuries. So one game that we didn't mention that that could play a big part is the Texas, the first one that we talked about. The Texas quarterback has a injured ankle, and of course, if he gets hurt, his backup is Manning, the nephew of the Manning brothers. So they have a good backup there.
Yeah,
Archie Manning, I think is something called. I think
yeah,
it's
Arch Manning.
so. They kind of have it covered, but it's not the same. When you come from the bench, you haven't practiced all the plays like everybody else. So that could definitely play a part. If he's hobbling along, this guy has to come from the bench, and they might make it tough for him for sure. All right, but we both got Oregon. Steph has Washington. Bill has Oregon. Uh, you actually wants the Huskies to win. Okay, that's all right. Hey, it's not a bad pick. I mean, the Washington is a really good team, and they're gonna bring it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Matthew has Oregon, and Boris has Oregon. All right. This is the other game we're talking about. Iowa State is on the right there with their feet to the fire. They have Kansas State. They both have had great seasons, 8-3, 9-2, and Iowa State is only favored to win by 1.5 points. So what that
yeah,
tells you is that you can flip a coin pretty much, and it's anybody's game. Um, I'm gonna stick with Iowa State on this game, but I don't feel that confident because yeah, anybody can win, and they started the season so strong, but towards the end they haven't been that strong. Who do you like?
yeah. Iowa State, they were undefeated. They were actually number 9 at one point, and then they just kind of their car ran out of gas, and also they hit this. Well, they lost to Texas Tech by one point. Then they hit this roadblock called Kansas. That's just been on a roll, which is a different story. But I don't know. This this Big 12 race is very close. It's very close. But Iowa, I think has more to play for. Kansas State, if they win, they have a chance, but it's a very slim chance. So I'm gonna pick Iowa State.
All right. Steph has Iowa State, and Matthew has Kansas State. Good pick there, Matthew. I mean, it's anybody's game, and everybody else, just let me know your picks because we only have one game because we're gonna be popping the tin in about 5 minutes, and that game is the Gators, the Florida Gators. This is the rivalry, and they play Florida State. Even though Florida State has been doing terrible, it's still a rivalry game, and Florida State has a great team on paper. They just haven't been able to put it together. I'm picking the Gators. I'm picking the Gators on this one. I'm not gonna let. I'm not gonna definitely not gonna pick against them. Tell us a little bit about this game there, Lucas.
So again, I don't want to just keep beating a dead horse, but Florida State, this has been one of the worst seasons I've ever seen by a team. They were projected to be the ACC champions, or at least in that game, and they're projected to be a playoff team. They're 2-9. Like they've won two games, one against a team that's not even Division One. They're 2-9, horrendous team. And then you look at the Gators. We 6-5, but we've had a very tough schedule. And our last 2 weeks in a row, we beat ranked SEC teams. So we've been surging, and Florida State has they've been just on a free fall. And there's just a lot to this game. I'm not going to get super into it, but when it comes to recruiting for the upcoming freshmen, we have taken 20% of Florida State's class. We've convinced 20% of their class to flip to the Gators. So we've poached their team. Their team is not looking good. And I don't know. I think we have a lot on this game. They've beat the Gators the last 2 years in a row. And I hope I'm obviously a Gator fan. I really hope that this game isn't close. It could be because it's rivalry week. That's been the that's been the saying of the day. But I think the Gators probably are gonna roll them, and we should. They're our rivals, and no mercy. So I'm gonna pick the Gators to win, and
All
hopefully they
right.
don't disappoint me.
Everybody's picking the Gators on this one now. It is a Florida State. They have the home field advantage, and the Gators are favored to win by 17 points. Now the over and under is 45 and a half, which is scary. That means they're expecting this to be a very low scoring game. That's not good for the Gators. If it's a low scoring game, we are in trouble.
I don't know about that.
So hopefully that's not going to happen. Hopefully we can run up the score and have a comfortable lead because you don't want to be close at the end at Florida State. That could spell disaster.
Well, the spread was at minus 13 and a half, and now it's at minus 17. So
Yeah, it's just that over under being 45 and a half. That's down there. That's low. All right. Well, we have only 3 minutes to go. We're gonna be here next Saturday too. As the season comes to an end, we'll let you know when we'll do our last show. But we'll see you guys next Saturday. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We definitely had a great one, and oh my God, Lady Fire cooked so much that I wish you guys could see all the stuff that we have. We still have stuff. People took stuff home,
yeah,
and,
my fridge is full of just Thanksgiving food. So I'm
and
set.
just it's just the food just doesn't end. She did an amazing job. So thanks everybody. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next Saturday. For you guys that like popping the tin, we're reviewing the last of the winter reserve plans in 2 minutes. So see everybody then. All right. Have a great rest of the day. Go Gators.
Go Gators.